In this lecture, I am going to introduce you to engineering data application, or say engineering data manager. So this particular engineering data manager, like any other components, it can be accessed in a standalone mode, or otherwise you can also get this particular engineering data as a part of an analysis system. So what is engineering data? Engineering data is nothing but a software component with which you are going to manage all the material properties and all the materials that are available for your analysis or simulation project. So in order to access engineering data, you need to double click on this engineering cell. Once you double click on the engineering cell, engineering data will open, or engineering data module will open. You have different toolboxes that are present on the left side of your screen, and then you have different windows that are present here. So the first one is the outline of schematic. This is the properties of the outline row, this is the table of properties, and this is the chat. So here in this particular outline of schematic, the materials that are right now available for the present project will be shown. By default, what happens inside Ansys Workbench, structural steel is the material that is always defined as a default. So if you just open Ansys Workbench, if you don't define any other material, what happens when you are performing analysis, that parts will be assigned with a structural steel by default. So here in this particular group, you are going to see what are all the materials that are available for the current analysis. Right now, as we can see, only structural steel is available for our current analysis. Then coming to this one, this shows the properties of whatever material that we have selected here. It is going to be displayed here. For example, if I add another material by just clicking here and say giving a name Rakesh, and I just select this particular material, what happens? The properties which I have defined for this particular material will be shown here in the properties of outline. For example, if I select the structural steel, whatever the properties I have defined for structural steel will be shown here. Then in this particular table of properties window, we are going to see what are the different properties that are given in the form of a table. So for example, let us come to this alternating stress, mean stress. So this is generally defined for fatigue analysis, which we doesn't come into in this particular course. So what happens, see here, as the number of cycles are changing, the alternating stress value is going to change. So if there is any necessary for me to define my properties to the material in such sort of fashion, I can use this table of properties group. And once I use this table of properties group, I can see this particular table in the form of a graph in this particular group. Now we are going to see what are all the toolbars. So what happens is these toolboxes are a combination of different tools which helps us to define different properties for different sorts of materials. For example, let us say static analysis, the basic properties you are going to define are the Young's modulus and Poisson's ratio. So in order to define Young's modulus and Poisson's ratio, these particular tools are available under linear elastic group. Likewise, if you want to give the failure criteria to isotropic materials, then you need to go to the strength group and you need to select the material property. So in order to use this engineering data manager effectively and to perform simulations effectively, also you should be having knowledge on basic knowledge on SOM and materials, and what are the different material properties, what are the different material models that can be used for the analysis. So right now we have seen a basic introduction to Ansys Workbench Engineering Data Manager, or say engineering data module. In the next lecture, we are going to see how to add a custom material and how to add properties to our custom material from the available toolbox properties inside Engineering Data Manager in Ansys Workbench. Thank you.